Okay. We're talking about multi-fuel portable generators that can be rigged to run your entire house in the event of an outage. A few things you want to watch out for is that the generator is actually there and available for you when you need it. If you have to roll it out of your garage and run a bunch of cables, that's not going to be something you'll like to do. So it's a good idea to have an all-weather lifetime enclosure. Aluminum and stainless steel are probably good materials to have. Some kind of locking mechanism is also very good to have so the lid doesn't open up in the midst of a storm. We do want the generator to breathe and be able to run from within the enclosure. So a louvered, open enclosure is good, something that sheds rain. You also want to make sure that the battery is charged and ready for when you need it. In this case, we've utilized a solar panel to keep it trickle charged. We've adapted this generator to natural gas, and it's a good idea to tap the natural gas at a point where the flow is strongest and best. In this particular case, right after the meter. The point at which the natural gas connects to the genset should be flexible to be able to withstand vibration. And last but not least, you want to make sure that any rust spots on the pipe are addressed with a rust arrestor before you go ahead and paint it. Take almost any portable generator. What you need to watch out for are two things: the surge watts and the rated watts. The surge watts are the momentary power that this can provide to start things like your refrigerator, your furnace, air conditioner, and so forth. And the continuous running watts are what it will safely use to power the rest of your house. Once those appliances are up and running, they typically consume less wattage. There's a few different things going on here. For example, you can see these alligator clips in there. They're keeping the battery trickle charged so that it's nice and available when you actually need it. It's a good idea to have an electric start, and better yet, a remote start like the one that we provide. This way you can shut the generator off at night when you don't need it. One of the most important parts in this setup is the multi-fuel nature of it. You can always opt to put in gasoline into this tank here. But once you do that, remember in the US, we use what's called E85 that has ethanol mixed in it. That gives gasoline a shelf life. Gasoline does not last but for a few months. So if you had a genset that you used 2 years ago and it had some residual gas in it, chances are very strong that it's not going to be there and available. It might actually need to be thoroughly cleaned professionally before it can be used again. That's why we like the idea of converting it to natural gas and only using gasoline as a backup when that's not available. This setup reduces the pressure of the natural gas and feeds it into this machine, and it also does it in a manner that you can use remotely and turn the gas off safely when you're not using it. Where possible, it's a good idea to have a 5 or 10 watt solar panel trickle charging the battery so it's available when you need it. But in all eventualities, it's a good idea once or twice a month to actually turn on your generator and make sure that it's running before you actually need it. Installing your generator, it's very important to give it a stable surface. What we typically do is to provide a concrete pad. In this particular case, you're seeing it sitting on a paver patio that was built especially for the purpose. It performs two functions. It gives you a place to anchor the shelter, as well as provide a surface that won't vibrate as much when the generator is running. It's also very important to use a flexible piece of piping when you get closer to the generator, because the generator does vibrate when it's operating. In this particular case, this is a gasoline generator which we've adapted to run on natural gas. So we have a pressure reducer and an automatic solenoid which can be used with our remote start. That remote start enables you to shut off the generator at night when it's not required. What makes our genset very interesting is that we can use a cable to run through our enclosure into an outlet running to a transfer switch inside the house. And in this way, we don't have to run cabling all over the place when the outage occurs. They are dangerous and they are painful to hook up and to unhook. In this particular case, our transfer switch is integrated with our load center, our main panel. The loads that have been identified as critical have already been pre-wired so that they can be run off the generator when an outage occurs. This particular genset with 8,000 watts of power is suitable for running your air conditioning, computers, lights, your refrigerators, television, all of the basic things that you would need in the event of an outage.